Hello everyone! Welcome back to this game! When we last left off, another murder happened. This is starting to become a trend, and it is unusual for this town because this town is usually kind of quiet. Reza is, of course, the prime suspect here because he's already shown himself to be dangerous. Thankfully, the chief of police is trusting me on my own to go looking for Reza. I'm gonna want to make sure that the chief of police continues to trust me. Next time I get the chance, I might go ahead and visit him just for friendliness. Anyway, one thing that has happened recently, in fact, is we got ourselves some sort of note that was snuck into our pocket to visit Tatsu Park. In an effort to not draw any distrust with the chief of police, I'm going to go ahead and not visit the park because the chief of police has expected me to visit these other places, and it would look kind of suspicious if I knew to find Reza at Tatsu Park and the chief didn't. So let's go ahead and continue looking at other places that we were told to look instead. Places that Reza has been seen previously. We'll go to... You know what? I like books. Let's visit the library. That dialogue was automatic. Time left, I said? That implies that I'm not necessarily going to be able to visit every place. Well, in that case, I'm glad I went to the library next. Alright, Reza, what did you want here? Hey, it's Remy! And hello there, Maddie! Welcome to the stream. I just now continued my investigation, trying to figure out where Reza might be. Anyway, I already told you it's not here. Who's he talking to? Aideen? Won't you help out an old friend? Friend? This is the first time you've spoken to me in years. Suddenly wondering how long these dragons live. And whose fault is that? For you, I didn't even exist these last few years. At least I tried to reach out to you. No, you're just here because you want something. I'm right here, right now, and you still continue to act like that. She was my friend too, you know. I'm guessing one of the murder victims is a friend of Aideen's. I think you should leave. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. For everything. It's a little late for apologies. Have it be your way, then. Things are kind of stressful around here. Aideen stormed out so quickly that she didn't even notice me. I waited a few moments and wondered if it was a good time to talk to Remy. In the end, I decided that my task was too pressing to come back at another time. I shuffled through books and tried to look busy until I noticed he resumed his work so I could approach him. Hello, Erika. How can I help you? I'm curious, but I'm not gonna press. I'm just gonna go straight to the point. Has Reza been here recently? Reza? He's visited quite often since he arrived, actually. Until a few days ago, that is. Do you know what he was reading? Not particularly. I thought he just wanted to learn about our world. Did you notice anything unusual about him while he was here? Can't say that I did, though he did ask me for a map once. A map? Yes. I showed him a few, but none of them seemed to be what he was looking for. Did he talk to you about anything strange while he was here? Besides the map, nothing else worth mentioning comes to mind. Only the usual pleasantries. Well, how are you doing? I'm doing fine, thank you. The game keeps giving me the option, and I'm finding myself tempted to ask about it. Ooh. What do I want to do? I'll press, and if it doesn't seem good, I'll back out. What did Adine want from you? Wait, you were here that whole time? Not the whole time, just long enough to know that something's up. It's nothing that concerns you. Come on, it does concern me. I know you, and I know Adine. I mean, barely, but I know you. It's really nothing of great importance. Are you aware of a certain prehistoric underground building we recently discovered? How prehistoric are we talking here? Because apparently y'all have been keeping track of history ever since y'all became aware enough to keep track of history. Although, not entirely sure when that started, come to think of it. But I assume at least a couple thousand years. Anyway, I've heard of it. She wanted a blueprint of it, which was one of the things found inside the building during an investigation. Why would you have it? We're not just a library, you know, but a whole archive that stores all sorts of information and objects. In any case, a blueprint is the kind of thing that would be placed in our care eventually. So she thinks you have it. Even if we did, it wouldn't be something we could just give out to anyone. Of course. I guess that's all then. Thanks for your help. You're welcome. Well, that went better than I expected. Curious why she would want a blueprint to that place, though. Why Adine, of all people? Anyway, sure enough, I'm only able to visit 2 locations. What was the third one? Some sort of factory or something? Either way, I'm happy with the choices I made. Out of all the places, the grocery store and the library were the 2 most important places for me. The afternoon sun hung low in the sky, and I decided it was time to report my findings to the police. A brief call to the department, and I was on my way to an appointment with Sebastian. An appointment that I don't remember, but apparently is an appointment that I remembered. I'm not sure how my findings will help, but at least I have something. Look who we have here. Yeah, Maverick is a good reason why I probably am glad that I didn't go to the park like that secret note suggested. Maverick is very much jumpy to conclusions, and almost certainly he would have been the one to find me there. I turned around to see Maverick. His intense gaze confirmed that there was no one else his words could have been directed at. Even with the civilians passing by in the background, I suddenly felt very alone. What do you want from me? Answers. Okay, let's start talking. Just tell me one thing. Why? What is your goal in all of this? Why even come here? You know why. We came as ambassadors for humanity and to oversee the trade we agreed on. There's literally nothing else. At least not with me. No, no, no. That won't do. That's simply not true. You know it and I know it. I just don't get why you can't be honest with me, even when you know no one else is listening. You know I can't touch you. If I did, it would be over for me. At least as long as I don't have any proof. All the more reason why I didn't go following that note. In the end, what difference does it make if I know? No one is going to believe me anyway. Do you wish to kill me too, like Reza? I would never do such a thing. Is that so? Tell me, why would an ambassador need such a dangerous tool in the first place? I know you claim not to have one of these things Reza injured me with, and you didn't have any when they searched you, but I guess it's way too late for safety precautions at this point. You could have hidden one anywhere. That dang hurt, you know. I could imagine. I wouldn't want to be shot, even if I was a dragon. I imagine it hurt even less as a dragon, but still. And besides anything, Reza brought along the gun because he didn't know what to find on the other side. I did. I didn't see any reason to bring a gun then. What were we saying? The gun hurt, but even worse that it was getting thrown aside by Bryce. Oh, you were getting thrown aside by Bryce. I trust him, but after what happened, he doesn't trust me anymore. Now there's only you. The mythical, the special, the new. How much I wish I could make him see what I see. For what it's worth, I'm glad you're not. I could have saved the world with what I did that day, and it still wouldn't matter when no one believes me, just because I don't have any proof. But I won't stop until I find some. Yeah, I'm gonna want to be extra careful about not doing anything accidentally incriminating. And when I do, I'm gonna be a dang hero. And with that, he was gone. On the way to the police station, Maverick's words kept finding their way back into my mind. I couldn't decide how to feel about them. I wasn't even sure if it was worth mentioning to the police, since all he did was make vague accusations. It wasn't anything substantial enough to be considered a threat. However, his actions were growing more calculated, and he seemed very sure of himself. I wondered about what this could amount to. I should probably tell the police regardless. But that wasn't the problem at hand. Tell you what, this is a pretty cozy police station. Hey, Erika. Hey, Sebastian. I thought I'd meet you at the front desk. What are we doing in Bryce's office? Oh wait, back up. I thought I'd meet you at the front desk. What are we doing in Bryce's office? He does have a nice office, doesn't he? And the chairs are comfy. I was just commenting on that. Is that the only reason we're in here? The dragon gave a brief chuckle. Let's just say that any information pertaining to this case is important enough to warrant some privacy. I see. Will Bryce be here anytime soon? I don't think so. He's still outside looking for Reza. He's not the kind of person who gives up easily. I'm gonna start using my mouse to progress the text. Doesn't seem like it's gonna be too easy to accidentally click something I shouldn't. And my spacebar is noisy. Can't we help? There's only so much we can do. I was out searching too until I came to meet you. At this rate, it doesn't look like we'll find him today. He could be anywhere, long gone beyond our reach. What do you think? I don't think he's going anywhere. He can't flee to another place. No matter where he goes, he'd be recognized immediately. In the end, his only way out is the same way he got in, the portal. Also, he's after something, and he hasn't found whatever it is yet. Anyway, portal, and he can't use that without someone noticing. Very astute observation. I wonder what will happen to our trade agreement now, considering Reza's still missing, the murders, and the stolen generator. If Reza really is the murderer, then... Don't do that. What? Worry. You don't know what's at stake here. People are dead, Erika. Do you think I don't know that? Reza may be our prime suspect, but he's also a missing person. For all we know, he could be a victim. Maybe someone is making him do this. My point is, we don't know the facts yet. What we need to do is find him and find the murderer. I'll find Reza and go from there. We'll figure it out. Thanks, Sebastian. Anyway, you said you had some information for us. So, what did you find? I would like to point out the note I found about going to that location, but we'll see if I'm able to actually do that. The receipts you got are interesting. There might be something more to them, or they could be just a useless record of his eating habits. You never know what you might find out about a person, their habits, or their plans this way. The map in the library? I don't know what to think about that. He could have needed a map to plan something, I suppose, but who knows what he really wanted to do with it. It's the kind of detail that, on its own, might not tell us much, but could be crucial later on. Did I get mixed up? I thought it was Aideen who was looking for that map. Well done, Erika. That gives us some solid points from which we can continue our investigation. Achievement unlocked. Investigator 2. Well, in that case, I'm glad I asked about Aideen. I think. In any case, thanks for your help. We really do appreciate it. You're welcome. That should be all then. Since Bryce still hasn't come back, I assume the search is still going on, and I better get out there and help him. This is going to be a long day. Can you find your way back to your apartment? Of course. Alright. I'll see you later. Good luck! Finally, some free time. Whatever am I going to do? Okay, options. So, I accidentally gave myself a date with Anna, and I definitely would feel bad about skipping that. I definitely want to go visit Lorem. And as I said at the start of the stream, I kind of want to meet with Bryce so that he can learn more about me and be able to trust me more. Well, my priority is Lorem. I'll decide on the other two afterwards. There you are! Come in! Sure. Honestly, I can't believe you agreed to do this again. It's my pleasure. Now that I've had a chance to work through everything from last time, we can do some real work. Sounds great. I did a staggering amount of research on mythical humans. Here, let me show you some of the stuff I found. Sure. We sat down at the coffee table. Lorem opened up a laptop and started to type away. Kind of wondering here. He's only got 4 fingers as opposed to 5. I imagine typing is... well, probably not much different than using 5 fingers. It's just that your far left finger will have a few extra keys that it would need to reach since you don't have a pinky finger. Tappity tappity. That was the game. Seeing the laptop brought back memories. In our world, they had become obsolete a long time ago. Which is kind of a shame. I've always wanted to own a laptop because they seemed like cool tech. Like fancy and stuff. Now instead we got smartphones, which is technically even fancier, but at the same time... well, I suppose laptops aren't completely outdated. They still sell them. Before I show you these images, I should probably tell you that some of them are really weird. Just don't take them the wrong way. You already told me about the 4-headed human. Plus, I'm in the furry fandom, you see some really weird stuff there. So I think I can handle this. Alright. That's supposed to be a human? It doesn't look very human to me. This one is supposed to be one of our ancestors. Ancestors? Well, it does remind me of some of the dragons I've seen here, but I'm not sure what humans have to do with this. You remember the myth about our creator turning into a dragon, right? Yeah? Now, here's an interesting question. What species did that human turn into? There are a number of dragon species nowadays that aren't genetically compatible with each other. Did the human choose one of them? Did they perhaps procreate? A shared ancestor is one option. This would mean that the different species split after the human's involvement in our creation. If human DNA was involved in some way, this might explain how our different species came to be. Take a far ancestor of ours and apply various amounts of human DNA. The result would be a number of different species, each with a different amount of resemblance to humans. Keepa says humans turned into pigs. Honestly, I would not have minded if things went that direction. But yeah, this is interesting. Now, it has been said that an upright stance and being able to walk on 2 legs is a more human trait. Right? In any case, it's one of the things that makes humans unique. As a result, some people believe that certain species share more traits with humans than others. It sounds to me that dragon civilization is a lot more confident about humans having existed than human civilization is about dragons being real. I imagine partly because in this dragon world, there's some religious connotations of human origins. Either that or Lorem is just making things up. What were we saying? Right, humans unique because of walking on two legs. The dragons that are on two legs, they think it makes them more noble or something. Luckily, this doesn't happen often. You can walk on two legs as well, right? Sure. In this theory of shared human DNA, this puts me somewhere in the middle, since I still have wings and horns. I can see that. Here, look at this one. Where are you getting these images that are disappearing before I can finish looking at them? I'm not sure if this is much closer than the previous one. Not even a little? Maybe a little. I'm not sure he's a particularly friendly one, though. Actually, I think this is supposed to be a human female. Interesting. There are some that don't think humans are friendly at all, though. Really? So far, I've only heard positive things about us. Some interpretations of our myths don't exactly paint you in the best light. There are also people who oppose the idea of human worship and what their involvement has meant for us. In what way? They say the human interference was unnatural and that we need to get back to our roots. And how do they think they can do that? Also, kind of wondering if any of those people are involved with the murders. Anyway, how do they think they can do that? Apparently, it means refusing to use modern technology and living in caves or the wilderness again. Well, in that case, I don't see them stealing a generator. Like an animal. Pretty much. Most of us think those people are crazy, though. Well, as long as they aren't hurting anyone. They're harmless, really. You probably won't see one of them around here anyway. This is an interesting style, though. Do you know how these pictures were made? No. I'm sure that information was provided when I looked them up in the library, but I didn't copy all of that. And you're using these as references? I make do with what I can get. Maybe now you can see why I wanted your help, though. Alright, what do you need me to do? I just want to make some quick sketches. You can stand over there by the wall. Okay, I can certainly do that. I walked up to the spot he indicated. When I took my place, I saw that he had laid out a number of pens, paper, and other art supplies on the table. Oh, this is going to take a while, isn't it? I'll try to be quick about it. Do you want me to strike a pose or something? A T-pose should be good to get started. Well, you aren't going to put me in a video game. Seriously, it is so weird that my character doesn't know much about video games. Admittedly, anybody who doesn't play video games is not necessarily going to know what a T-pose is supposed to be, but considering this is quote-unquote me we're talking about. So T-pose, what's that? Just point your arms sideways so you look like a giant T. Oh, I get it. Raising my arms to the sides, I wondered how long this would take. My arms are going to get tired. Maddie says T-posing is a meme now. Everyone knows what a T-pose is. I don't know. I'll have to ask my family about that one. My grandpa knows what a meme is, but I don't know if that means he'll also know what a T-pose is. Great. Now try to stay as still as possible. Can I still talk? Sure, as long as you don't talk with your arms. I kinda wanna make a joke about Italians here. As I wasn't allowed to move my head, I stared at Lorem sketching my figure. Maddie says it's how we talk here in Quebec. Yeah, hand motions... kind of a... natural way of speaking. Like, I do it myself sometimes. Like, right now, I'm moving my hands. But it's more common among certain places and certain people. At least, so is implied. Anyway, this went on for a few minutes until I suddenly heard the sound of a door opening. Well, here's another cutie. Oh, you're a lovely shade of purple, and I like your glasses. So we got an Eastern dragon now. How many different races of dragons are there in this world? Hey, Lorem. Oh, right. A human was going to visit today. I totally forgot about that. You don't mind if I take a seat, right? Akiba says Teen Spike. You know, I definitely see that. Although technically Spike is more a Western dragon, eventually grew his wings. You just want to study Erika. Like you aren't doing that right now. Besides, this room is mine as much as it is yours. I'll just watch and be quiet. I thought you had experiments to run. And they are running. I'd rather not be confined to my tiny room for the next 2 hours, staring at the ceiling and waiting for them to finish. But no experiments on Erika. Yes, I'll just sit here. Maybe take a few notes. I'm sorry, Erika. This is my roommate and longtime best friend, Ipsum. Cool. Ipsum, purple Eastern dragon, best friend of Lorem. Nice to meet you, Ipsum. His scientific bluntness may be off-putting, so please bear with him. Honestly, I'm just surprised that we're getting to meet more than one scientist-type person on this story. Maddie says Lorem Ipsum. I know that's a thing. I knew his name sounded familiar. Kiba says Lorem Ipsum is simply dummy text of the printing and typesetting industry. What were we saying? off-putting scientific bluntness. Speak for yourself. So much for these two being best friends. Lorem returned to his drawing, the silence only being interrupted by the strokes of his pen. Something interesting happened at work today. Did they finally figure out it was you who was playing all those pranks? No, they'll never catch me. I was talking with a colleague about the humans here, and I offhandedly mentioned that Erika was going to come over. I don't like where this is going. Some hours later, Anna barges into my office and says Erika is off limits to anyone besides her as far as tests and experiments are concerned. Yeah, that kind of sounds like her. Well, I'm not taking any samples. I could hardly be blamed for just looking at Erika. Yes, but that makes me wonder. Erika, did you agree to visit her and undergo her rigorous testing regimen? Ah, that's right, I did. Okay, I'm going to have to save Bryce for later. Oh, good luck to you then. Oh, and Lorem, have you seen my Ixomin sphere recently? Didn't you take it with you when you went to the park the other day? Yes, I did. Well, that's the last time I saw it. I must have lost it then. I already searched the whole apartment. Did you go into my room? No. Maybe someone found it. Probably the bad guys. I had it registered in my name when I got it, so if anyone found it, it should show up sooner or later. What is an Ixomin sphere, anyway? It's just a glorified toy for grown-ups, really. You have no idea what you are talking about. An Ixomin sphere is a very sophisticated tool with a countless number of uses. Like what? It can levitate and then follow you around, take photos. You can even use it as a calculator. Oh, that is some fancy technology there. I wouldn't mind having something like that myself. Making it a glorified toy for grown-ups. Hey, sounds good for me. I need to use it for my experiments. Well, if they can take photos, I wouldn't need to stand around like this. That is, if we had it here now. It is a great companion for all situations in life. It's much easier to draw from a live model than from a photo, though. Easier for you, maybe. I hope this doesn't take much longer, because my arms went numb a while ago. Yeah, I think you can relax for now. I'm nearly done with this one. A tingling sensation went up my arms as I relaxed. Slowly, I began to regain feeling in them, suddenly wondering how long I could actually hold my arms out. But I can't reach my mouse from here, so I'm just not going to perform that experiment. Alright, now turn around. I thought we were done already. Not unless we want our humans to lack a backside. Well, you never know. Maybe it's one of those 2D video games, and you only need to worry about seeing their front side. So that's what this is all about. Ugh, you know what I mean. I know exactly what you mean. Isn't it my turn to draw you now? That's not how it works. I wouldn't mind getting a portrait of myself. I can already see it, the light shining from above, caressing my luscious mane, highlighting each lock as they interplay. This is going to be a long day. It depends on how fast you are. As I was now facing the wall, I couldn't see what Lorem and Ipsum were doing. After a few seconds of silence, I heard some whispering coming from the couch. They are probably making note of my lack of tail. What are you talking about? I didn't want to be rude, but I was just curious about your vestments. He said, and I quote, "This would be more interesting if it wasn't for those clothes Erika is wearing. Oh, I hope I'm given the opportunity to take them off." Not a bad idea, I see how it is. This would also imply not liking this. So I'm going with, really? I'm just saying it would be hard to study an insect if there was a piece of cloth draped over it. Wearing that much just seems odd to me. If humans wear clothes like this, it's only appropriate to depict them as such. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. I'll keep my clothes on this time. And my scientific curiosity shall remain unsatisfied. Because Erika is not here to do that, and you would get in big trouble with Anna. We actually have a pretty big variety of vestments. I could tell you about it. It sounds good, but not right now. I have to finish this up first. Alright. So Ipsum, I've heard a lot about experiments in science now, but what do you actually do? I work in the facility as a biologist with a minor in physics. In addition to the office, I also have my own setup here at home. I assure you, it's properly isolated from the rest of our apartment. It even has a fume hood to prevent accidents. That does not instill confidence. But I only use it for the smallest of experiments, usually things unrelated to my job. Sounds interesting. Don't get him started, or we won't hear the end of it. Maybe you would like to talk about your hobby instead, Lorem. Isn't this already a hobby? I guess you could say so. I was talking about his other hobby, though. Oh, that. I don't know. It's a little embarrassing, to be honest. Are you in the human fandom? There's no need to be embarrassed about your hobbies. He likes flowers. Once he even made a crown out of daisies. Cutest thing in the world. Ooh, I wanna see! Don't listen to him. As usual, he only tells half the story. What's the other half, then? I have an extensive love for botany. The fern he keeps in his room must be the happiest plant alive. I find gardening to be very relaxing, especially when the birds are singing in the morning. It's so nice to go out there with a nice cup of tea and work in the garden of our apartment building. Which reminds me, Ipsum here has quite an extensive tea collection, although I'm not sure if he prefers to hoard tea or gadgets. Hoard tea or gadgets. It's a mystery. Well, dragons gotta hoard something. I heard there was going to be a model of the Ixelman sphere that can actually make tea. That's going to be a must-buy. Can it also make cups, or are you supposed to sip it out of the sphere itself? Don't be silly. You two sound just like an old couple. Couple? Us? Not really. We've known each other for a long time, though, if that counts. I think it does. By the way, Ipsum, you're not from here, right? What is that supposed to mean? Well, you look nothing like any other dragon I've seen here so far. I suppose that's true for Lorem as well. You're both pretty small. But you, Ipsum, also have hair. That's certainly new. It's not as unusual as you might think, but you're right. There aren't many of us in these parts. I imagine being smaller than the rest of the population would come with its own challenges. It's not that big a deal. If something isn't reachable for me, I can fly. This apartment was actually intended to house one dragon of a bigger size. That not only makes it fairly cheap, but it's also big enough for both of us. There's one thing I've been wondering. How do you even sit in one of those chairs? Wouldn't the backrest cause problem with your tails? Please answer this. I see what you mean. For me, it's never been a problem, because most chairs are bigger than I am. I am suddenly imagining you sitting in a chair like a dog, and that is an adorable mental imagery. It's just a question of getting into the right position. However, this might be different from those of us who mostly walk on four legs, but they usually don't use chairs like these at all. I've seen a few try, though. I suppose they want to imitate humans this way. Even if they can't stand or walk like a human, they can try to sit like one. With varying results. Some I've seen looked really funny, trying to fit in chairs they are too big for, or sitting in odd ways that clearly don't work with their anatomy. I see. Lorem, you asked me about breath weapons last time, but I don't think you ever told me if you had one. Probably because it isn't worth mentioning. It may only be a very small flame, but it can get very hot. Okay, the fact that you have breath weapons at all is definitely cool. What about you, Ipsum? Yes, Ipsum, what about you? My breath weapon is elocution, since words are more powerful than anything else. Your words are so powerful that I've never heard that one before. Sure. Alright, I'm done with this one. You can turn around. Really? But staring at the wall was so much fun. Let's make one more. Maybe something dynamic. I was kidding! How dynamic are we talking about? Something that isn't static like the reference models I just did. You can strike a pose, something that's just you. I'm betting I'm going to have several different options for this one. Alright. What kind of pose should I go for? A swimwear pose? I like swimming. Draw me like one of your... My what? Forget what I just said. Sure. By the way, did you get the groceries when you came home from work? Yes, just as usual. Are you too sure you're not in a relationship? I certainly am. Actually, Ipsum is deeply in love with his home laboratory. Oh, really? I'm not even going to deny that. When I'm not working on something at the office, I do so here. What are you currently working on? I've been looking into the physics of teleportation. Yeah, please do not involve me. I already discussed this last time, but I have no intention of getting my molecules thrown around together. Actually, I already went through that, didn't I? You're talking about the portal, right? Well, I don't have permission to even approach the portal, so I have to resort to a theoretical discussion on its mechanics and make do with what I can pull off in my home laboratory. Maybe I could tell you a few things. That won't be necessary. I have already read all the available test reports. Okay. Are you aware that using the portal could be incredibly dangerous? Yes, but I'm not sure what you're talking about. Then you don't have a complete understanding of what the portal actually does and what it means for our world at large. In order for a portal to function, a natural wormhole is required. It is trapped and becomes the portal's entry. The portal manipulates the wormhole's exit. This way, something can be sent to whichever destination is chosen. Now, there is a theory about the purpose of the natural wormholes in the universe. It states that they act as the support pillars of the space-time continuum. How so? How should I explain this? I think the video game analogy worked pretty well. Sure. In a video game, what happens when you meet the edge of a map? You hit a wall? That happens in some games, but in others, you reappear on the opposite side. Right. How does this happen? If our world was a perfect sphere, someone would just keep flying in the same direction, and eventually, they would end up at their starting point again. I don't know about that. What if there was just emptiness beyond the edge? Space that matter has not yet reached. But sure. This is just a result of physics. In the abstraction of a video game, however, it doesn't work like that. They don't try to replicate a spherical world, but use a 2D plane instead. This is getting confusing. Imagine a piece of paper with a world map printed on it. Right. While it shows the entirety of the world, it's still just a simple flat piece of paper rather than a sphere, right? Sure. Let us assume that in a game, our world map looks like that. Now, what happens when we approach the edge and walk over it is that we are teleported to the opposite side. Okay. This doesn't actually make the game world a sphere, but rather a torus. A torus? You know, like a donut. I'd actually just heard about some theory going around that the universe might actually be shaped like a donut instead of a sphere. If that's the comparison you want to make. It's a good comparison. I like donuts. I used to make donuts. Best job I ever had. Okay. Now, things are going to get really complicated. Are you familiar with the many-worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics? Let's say I'm not. I mean, I am, but the game's not giving me the option to say otherwise. So, let's say I'm not. It states that every single time a choice is made by any actor that possesses free will, the new universe splits off into different branches. Kiba says your character isn't the sharpest spork. Yeah, but at the same time, gotta be able to explain things to the player somehow, just in case the player doesn't know. Anyway, this means that for every choice you have made, there exists a branch of the universe where you made a different decision. I see. Now, we can't communicate with these other branches in any way. You don't know what would happen if you had made a different decision just this morning. You say that, but I could always reload my previous save. You could make an educated guess, but the only person who truly knows what would happen is that alternate you who has made that decision and is living its consequences. That is, unless we could communicate with those other branches. However, there is a barrier that prevents us from doing that. This barrier is made up of wormholes. How does that work? It is very similar to the Torus world model that is used in games. As we approach the edge of our own world, the barrier causes us to end up on the other side instead. Does this mean we get teleported to the other side like in video games? Not necessarily. It would be just as correct to assume that our universe is shaped like a torus. So, which is it then? Do we get teleported or not? That depends on how you look at the wormhole's function. Imagine this sheet of paper is the entirety of our world. He took a sheet of paper from Lorem's stack and showed it to me, making a spot near the edge with a pen. And this is where you live. Unfortunately, your workplace is here on the other side. He drew an X close to the right edge of the paper. If the world was flat, this would be very unfortunate. However, if the world was a torus, the left and right edges would be connected. You could take the shorter route to work by going over the edge. Now, let's say that this is only possible because wormholes connect these two edges together. If you happen to be right at the very edge and looked beyond, everything would look perfectly fine for you. Given that these wormholes stay in their place, you would never know that the world is actually flat and that you can only travel to the other side because the wormholes connect the edges. You would think that the world is a torus. Right. However, what if the wormholes don't actually bring you to the other side by teleporting you, but instead just bend the paper into the torus shape and hold the edges together? If these wormholes failed or were displaced, the paper would unfold, throwing the world into disarray. That's what the wormholes and the barrier actually do. They are what hold everything together. So they're really more like glue. If it wasn't for them, the overall construct would collapse in on itself. What construct? The entirety of space-time. Now, if these theories are true, that would mean using a portal damages the barrier. Each time the portal is activated, the wormhole used for the teleportation is displaced, leaving a small gap where it used to be. Do this too often, and the overall system will destabilize eventually. Alright, maybe you shouldn't talk about your theories about how the world is going to end. Nothing is going to happen because the portal was used a few times. I just hope humanity is aware of its implications. I mean, even if they are, that doesn't mean they're going to be cautious about it. This is humanity we're talking about. Maybe we can collaborate. I certainly hope so. Your researchers seem to know what they are doing. I mean, your researchers do. I just wish I could be a part of it. With everything that's going on, the future looks incredibly exciting. What do you think is going to happen, Ipsum? Now you'll get him started. Don't say I didn't warn you. The knowledge contained within your PDAs could propel innovation forward by unseen lengths. Meaning a lot more experiments for you to do. Which would be terribly exciting. Personally, I'm more interested in the social implications. You know, I kind of am as well. Like, how cool would it be if these dragons visited our world? I mean, first you would have to deal with all the paranoid people with guns. Yeah, it would definitely take some effort to make sure that things remain peaceful. Anyway, social implications. What do you mean? I don't expect there to be just a back and forth of ambassadors forever. Are you talking about colonies? Oh, I bet Lorem would jump at the opportunity to live in the human world. I'm not sure if that would be a good idea. Why not? Obviously, such an endeavor would need a lot of preparation. We would need to learn about their culture and adjust appropriately. I'd expect we'd send an ambassador over there long before that will happen, though. We hardly know anything about their world. Everything's still up in the air as far as diplomatic relations go. We have no idea what the situation could be like in just a week. Yes, and it's also incredibly exciting. Don't get too excited, though, or else you're going to ruin your drawing. Kiba says the dragons would burn the earth down after seeing how messed up everything is. Nah, I don't know about burning it down, but they'd certainly turn back. They don't need to visit our world, they don't need to visit any world. Their world is perfectly fine as it is. The drawing's almost done anyway. Here, what do you think? Lorem leaned over, holding the paper to Ipsum. Ipsum looked at the paper closely, his gaze shifting back and forth between me and the paper several times. After a few seconds, he seemed to be finished with his evaluation. As a scientist, my professional opinion is that this part looks a little long. He pointed his sharp claw at a part of the paper Lorem was holding. Are you sure? Let me see. If I wasn't sure, I wouldn't have said it. I think you're right. That I am. Lorem reached for his eraser, purging a few lines from the paper before he switched to his pen again. Erasable ink? And it's done. See, what would you ever do without me? I I don't think I'd hear as many explosions in the middle of the night. You were happy about it when you forgot to set your alarm that one time. Suddenly, the sound of an alarm resounded throughout the room. I hope that's not one of your experiments about to explode. Oh, my experiment is done. And there he goes. Charming fellow, isn't he? He sounds fun. He certainly keeps things interesting around here. And he's a good art critic. I can imagine. Anyway, looks like we're done here. Phew. It feels good being able to move again. Would you like to stay for dinner? It'd be the least I can do to compensate for your lost afternoon. Let me see. What time is it? It's getting late and I probably shouldn't stay out this long. Looks like I'll have to decline for now. I see. Well, I gotta do something for you, at least. Don't worry about it. Maybe some other time. If you say so. Thanks for doing this, at any rate. It's been a huge help. Yeah, I know. Don't worry about it. Really. Alright. I should really get going now. Sure. Take care. Oh boy, that was a long cutscene. If I wind up posting this at my main channel at YouTube, I don't know how I'm going to cut that. Right here at Twitch, though, it is time for a break. We will be right back. And when we come back, I'm going to go ahead and visit Anna because I owe her. And she also kind of owes me.